7 o'clock every day, and we'll tell you in the final hour of the show the winner of the Whisper of the Week. Of course, best Whisper of the Week gets that $500 Harvey Norman shopping voucher. 11 minutes past 7 right now.
Breakfast with John Stanley and Gary Linnell. The best start to your day. And to get their best home loan rate, call Mortgage House today.
Now, tomorrow, around Sydney, a lot of the interest in the real estate market will be just how high prices can go. Each weekend we get quite extraordinary results coming out of the Sydney market, which is absolutely boiling over. The issue for a lot of people is the extent to which foreign investment is pushing that up. And we know that there are rules around what foreigners can buy in our real estate market, and there have been plenty of examples, anecdotal examples, suggesting that those laws and those rules may be being bent a little bit. We've got a report today from Credit Suisse saying that Chinese investment in Australian housing is set to skyrocket to $60 billion over the next 6 years. That's more than double the $28 billion spent in the previous 6 years. That'll obviously have an impact on house prices in Sydney, you would imagine. The federal Liberal MP Kelly O'Dwyer chairs the House of Representatives Economic Committee. She headed up an inquiry to this last year, and she joins us on the line now. Kelly O'Dwyer, good morning.
Great to be with you.
Kelly, thanks for joining us. That's a huge increase over the next 6 years, from $28 billion to $60 billion. Should we be concerned about this?
Well, first, boys, can I just say that I'm now the Parliamentary Secretary to the Treasurer, so I now have the responsibility for also looking at how we solve some of these issues raised by the House Standing Committee on Economics report that was handed down last year.
Yep.
The figures that are being bandied about, I haven't seen that report specifically, but certainly there has been an increasing trend that foreign investment has gone up and up year after year, and we saw a doubling over the last 12 months more broadly across the residential real estate sector. We heard evidence last year through the House Economics Committee inquiry that said that foreign investment, where it increases the stock available, the dwelling stock, whether it's units, whether it's houses, that is actually a good thing because it means there are more homes for people to purchase or rent. But where you are increasing the competition in areas where there's already existing housing and you're simply bringing in more competition for less and less stock, that obviously has an impact on prices as well. And that's what the Reserve Bank said. We know that there are many elements, though, that go to how much a house costs, construction costs, release of land, interest rates, all of that goes into the equation. But we put in place a plan to help give people confidence again in our foreign investment framework after 6 years of labour where not one court-enforced action was taken, not one property was divested through the court. Already the Treasurer has divested a pretty significant property in Sydney. We've got 100 investigations on foot, and we have transferred responsibility for enforcement and the enforceability of our Act through to the Australian Taxation Office, which is a much better crack team.
So could you just explain, what are the current rules that are in place?
So the current rules in place are, if you are a non-resident foreign investor, you can invest in new property if you have got prior approval from the Foreign Investment Review Board. If you are a non-resident foreign investor that wants to buy an existing home, you are not able to purchase that. That's part of the rules. But if you're a temporary resident, so you've got a visa of 12 months or more, you can purchase, with prior approval from the Foreign Investment Review Board, one existing home for the purpose of it being your principal place of residence, but you have to sell it within 3 months of leaving the country. And we found that previously there was no data matching going on with the Foreign Investment Review Board, with Border and Immigration, to check whether or not people who had made purchases had in fact sold those homes.
So you're saying now that you're actively policing it?
Correct. We, as of Monday, the responsibility for doing the audit, enforcement and compliance was transferred to the Australian Taxation Office when it comes to residential property. We have a crack team in there now, which is being built over time. There are already around about 40 or so people looking at this issue very actively. They're not just looking at prospective sales that are going to be happening in the coming weeks and months. They're looking back at sales that have occurred over the last number of years, and they're checking whether or not those sales were compliant. We're also bringing into effect new penalties, new civil penalties, which means that we're closing loopholes. Previously, people could profit from having done the wrong thing and for having contravened our foreign investment framework by making money out of making illegal purchases. We've closed that down. That will start when our legislation comes into effect from the 1st of December of this year. And we're also increasing criminal penalties as well, so that you actually have terms of imprisonment. They're increased if you do the wrong thing, and you've got much, much bigger fines under those criminal penalty regimes. And any third party who wasn't caught by our existing rules, who has helped somebody to contravene the foreign investment framework knowingly, we're also going to give them the same sanctions, those same criminal and civil sanctions.
I guess one of the biggest issues here, particularly here in the Sydney market, is housing affordability and how increasingly first home buyers are being pushed out of that market. Are you concerned about the impact that Chinese investment is having on housing affordability? Because given the crackdown, you clearly are.
Well, look, what we're doing is we're making sure that the rules are going to be enforced. It's no good having rules if you're not going to enforce those rules. And it's really ridiculous to think that we would say on the one hand that we have got a foreign investment framework that understands that it is sensitive in our established property market and that there are restrictions around it, but we're going to do nothing about it if people do the wrong thing. So we're saying you've got to have enforceability behind your rules, otherwise nobody takes your rules seriously. So we're doing that. We've toughened that up. We're also going to introduce a national register so that instead of relying on anecdote, we know exactly who has purchased what in Australia. Currently, John and Garry, we can't actually say who's purchased what at the moment. We're all guessing. We've got some figures from the Foreign Investment Review Board, but that does rely on the fact that everybody has gone through that screening process. And we know...
What do those figures show, roughly?
Well, those figures show that it's reasonably small, but we know the number is much higher. And that's the point. The point is that we want to get accurate figures, and everybody in the evidence that they presented to the committee last year said we need much more accurate figures, and having a national register of land will help us to do that. And we're going to bring that into effect as well.
All right. What about the threshold for current foreign investment here? Will that be lowered in the next couple of years?
Are you talking about for residential?
Yes. Yeah.
No, there are no thresholds that apply for residential property. If people are purchasing residential property, the rules are, as I've said, you've got to go to the Foreign Investment Review Board for approval, no matter what the value of the property is. So you don't go because the property is worth a particular amount. You go no matter what the value of the property is. You need approval.
All right, and we're not just talking here about individual investors, but we're talking about large corporations looking up to buy, large blocks of suburban tracts as well.
So big commercial developments of property. Residential property has never been included in our free trade agreements. Commercial property is different. Commercial property, we've got thresholds of around about 252 million for some of those commercial property developments, which might be mixed-use property developments.
Yep.
But no, we haven't lowered the thresholds on that. We have lowered the thresholds though for agricultural land.
But the bottom line is tomorrow, when there's a whole lot of houses sold in Sydney and auctioned, does the government know whether someone's bending the rules and buying it?
Well, the government can find out, because the government is now got the ATO checking their databases to make sure that we're tracking money coming in through AUSTRAC, that we're looking at border and immigration, and we're matching it up with all the various different data sources.
But there are obviously people who are trying to bend the rules.
That's right. There are some people who are going to try and bend the rules, and we're very committed to catching them.
Yep. All right. Good luck with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Kelly O'Dwyer, who, of course, in that parliamentary secretary job with the Treasurer, will obviously be around in about next week with the budget. What did you make of that? 1332, they're doing the best they can, but there are people obviously trying to bend the rules. And that's the anecdotal evidence you get all the time.
And is Chinese investment in the Australian property market just something that we have to learn to live with, or should we be controlling it a lot more closely? Give us a call, 1332.
21 past 7.
Listen up, because this is no laughing matter. Polydent wants you to be laughing all the way to the bank with 2UE's Mystery Laugh. Next week, listen out for the Mystery Laugh in Breakfast with John and Garry. Identify whose laugh it is, and you could win $1,000 cash instantly. Now that's something to smile about. 2UE's Mystery Laugh. Thanks to Polydent. Laugh loud, live loud, because with Polydent, your dentures won't keep you quiet. And Sydney's original, 2UE 954.
Hi, Scott Kerr here. The Subaru 2014 plate clearance is on now at Tom Kerr Subaru. We've left the best till last with great savings across the Subaru range, including Forester, XV and Impreza, all at unbelievable prices.